5th, 2025 at 9:04 a.m. Well, can we please have a roll call?
Yes, Chair. Thank you. Commissioner Jim Anderson,
Here.
Commissioner Roger Anderson, Commissioner Joe Clark,
Here.
Commissioner Justin Cummings,
Here.
Chair Manu Koenig,
Here.
Vice Chair Rochelle Lather, Commissioner Eduardo Montesino,
Oh, that's better. Sorry.
Alternate Commissioner Lonnie Faulkner, Alternate Commissioner Kimberly DeSerpa, Alternate Commissioner John Hunt,
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Fred Keeley. Chair, we have quorum and we have 6 voting members at the moment.
Great. Thank you very much. Next, we'll go to the executive officer's message.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. I just have 3 quick updates. The first one is just a reminder that this meeting is a hybrid meeting, so members of the public have the option to join us either in person here at the Watsonville City Chambers or virtually via Zoom. For commissioners, unless you meet the criteria under state law of being ill or out on business, you'll be here in person as well. For members of the public that would like to address the commission on any agenda item, they'll have up to 3 minutes. We'll inform them when they have 1 minute left and when their time is up. For those joining us in person, we ask them to go to the podium and state their name. For those joining us on Zoom, if you click on the reactions tab and then click on the raise hand, we will then acknowledge you. And again, you'll have up to 3 minutes to address the commission. And for those joining us via conference call, you can press *9 and that will allow you to raise your hand. So that's a quick update on the meeting procedures. The second update is that we had a successful annual conference for LAFCO that was held in San Diego 2 weeks ago. Over 230 people attended the conference. Your staff played a key role in the conference preparation, as well as being part of 2 separate general sessions. So your LAFCO analyst was the moderator for a general session that focused on what I wish I would have known as a commissioner coming into the LAFCO world. And the other session was the first ever LAFCO 101 game show that your staff hosted and created. It was the most voted on with the survey results, and it was highly appreciated. So I was very happy with the comments about that session. Aside from that, there was also 2 elections that were held at the conference. One was to address open seats on the LAFCO board. I'm happy to report that Commissioner Roger Anderson was unanimously voted in the coastal region to represent us on the public seat for the LAFCO board. And then the second election was changing the bylaws for LAFCO, allowing 4 new seats on the board that are staff-based. So your staff, your executive officer, is one of 4 that have been appointed to the LAFCO board. So this is first ever, the LAFCO opening it up for staff to be on this board. So we're making history, and more importantly, Santa Cruz LAFCO continues to be a staple in the LAFCO world. So I really appreciate Commissioner Roger Anderson for being appointed, and also the commissioners that attended the annual conference. I hope if you want to share comments on it, but it was another successful year for LAFCO. The last thing I want to give an update to the commission is the upcoming seat for LAFCO, the city seats. First thing is for Scotts Valley. Alan Timms was the LAFCO ex officio, which we have 4 cities and 3 seats on LAFCO. So the city selection committee created this new position, the ex officio, to ensure that the city that's off LAFCO is still well informed on LAFCO activities. So once they do rotate in, they're not coming in blind. So the city selection committee recently appointed Greg Wimp to replace Alan Timms as the ex officio. So we're going to start keeping him in the loop of LAFCO activities. And I also want to give a heads up to the commission that in January of next year, the city of Santa Cruz and the city of Watsonville are going to swap seats. So by January, the city of Santa Cruz will be a voting member, and Watsonville will then be placed as the alternate, as the alternate commissioner. Chair, that concludes my updates about certain items that are noteworthy for this commission, but with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there comments or questions from commissioners for Executive Director? Commissioner Anderson?
The meeting was very. Okay, the meeting was very interesting and really fun. And I attended Joe's LAFCO 101, and it was really a nice touch. Certainly showed off the LAFCO staff, the EOs from the various jurisdictions, because they really knew all the answers. But some of the commissioners did a pretty good job too. So anyway, it was a great meeting. Joe did wonderful work on what he did. I'm kind of glad that he took a little bit of a break from part of the meeting. He certainly deserved it after all this time.
Great, thank you. Yes, Commissioner Hunt?
I just like to say congratulations to Roger Anderson and Joe Serrano for being elected to the CalAFCO board. That's fantastic.
Congratulations. All right, seeing no other comments and no one here in the public, we'll move on to oral communications. Or sorry, adoption of minutes, item 3. Does any commissioner have comments or questions about the minutes? All right. Do we need to take public comment on the minutes?
Yes, please, Chair.
All right. So I'll open public comment on adoption of minutes. Seeing no one here in chambers, is there anyone online? All right. We had a motion by, I believe it was Commissioner Roger Anderson. The second was Commissioner Jim Anderson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes unanimously by those present. Now we'll proceed with oral communications. It's an opportunity for members of the public to address the commission on items not on the agenda, provided that the subject matter is within the jurisdiction of the commission and that no action may be taken on an off-agenda item unless authorized by law. Do we have anyone here in chambers who wishes to address us? Is there anyone online?
No, Chair, no requests at this time.
All right. And we'll proceed with our public hearings. Item 5A, the commission will, the Pajaro Valley Healthcare District Service and Sphere Review. The commission will consider the adoption of a service and sphere of influence review for the Seoul Healthcare District in Santa Cruz County. Executive Director Serrano.
Thank you, Chair. As the commission knows, this is the only healthcare district in our county. This was formed back in early 2022 as a result of the Watsonville Community Hospital filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy back in December of 2021. Unlike typical formations of special district, this healthcare district was formed through special legislation. It was Senate Bill 418. This, again, formed the healthcare district for the sole purpose of two things. One, purchasing or acquiring the hospital, and two, providing public oversight on the services offered in the hospital. So for today's purposes, LAFCO staff is going to just summarize the report. Again, state law created the healthcare district, but there was also a subsequent bill, Senate Bill 969, which made it clear that this healthcare district was under the purview of LAFCO. It also had conditions. One was that this commission needed to adopt a service and sphere review by December 31st of 2025. So that report, which fulfills that requirement, is attached to your agenda packet. But again, for today's purposes, I'm simply going to summarize the key findings and recommendations. So the first key finding is that this district provides an essential service to around 93,000 constituents, but it goes beyond the boundaries of Santa Cruz County. It also includes areas in northern Monterey County. But with this type of special district, anyone is allowed to use the services for the hospital. So even though it has 93,000 people living within the district, it is open for the public. The second key finding is that under state law, when there is a special district that goes beyond one county, there needs to be a principal LAFCO. or in other words, a LAFCO that has the jurisdiction to address any governmental changes, like for example, annexations. For this healthcare district, Santa Cruz LAFCO is the principal LAFCO because it's based on assessed value. In this case, the vast majority of the healthcare district is in Santa Cruz County. So in the event that there's any changes of organization, such as annexations or dissolutions of the district, it would be this commission's responsibility to oversee those changes and those processes. The third finding is the main topic of today for this report is the district's in trouble. They're financially distressed. Based on LAFCO's analysis, they've been in a deficits since inception. Each year they have consecutive deficits, and that's even before what's happening at the federal level with the disruption of Medicare, Medicaid, the pause in reimbursements and receiving those financial federal funding to this healthcare district has really put the entity in a troubling position. And I want to make it clear that it is not PV healthcare districts. This is not a isolated situation. Healthcare districts are struggling statewide. That's why we've seen in the last 10, 15 years, the dissolutions of healthcare districts in California, because it is very expensive to operate a healthcare district, let alone a hospital. That's why we've been seeing the historical trends in the last decade of hospitals and healthcare districts transferring responsibilities to private entities, because they are more equipped to fund these expensive organizations. So this is something that LAFCO was worried when the healthcare district was formed through special legislation, because the trend was the opposite. We weren't forming healthcare districts, we were dissolving them. And case in point, in California, we have 2 to 3 situations where LAFCOs are having to deal with failing healthcare districts. One example is in Riverside County. Riverside LAFCO recently voted to dissolve the Palos Verdes healthcare district because of their staffing and financial issues. So again, it's not an isolated situation here in Santa Cruz County. It's just the fact that it's very expensive to operate healthcare districts. So as part of this report, your staff identified options for the healthcare districts to consider. One of them is reorganizing with another healthcare district. Again, this is something that at this point, we're not recommending that the district get dissolved. They're doing their due diligence and looking for ways to right the course, but to help and assist their review of alternative actions, your staff and this report identifies some options for them to consider. I don't want to end my presentation with a doom and gloom type of discussion, so I got 2 more findings to go over. One is that aside from the financial challenges, this district is very transparent of what's going on, and in particular with their website. They have a rich source of information on their website. They make it clear when they're having their meetings. They have their contact information. Their financial documents are easily available. So based on LAFCO's analysis, 19 out of the 20 statutory benchmarks are met by this district. The only one that's missing is the link or copy of the LAFCO report. So assuming this commission adopts this report, we will be requesting the district to upload that into their website, which I believe they'll do so very shortly, assuming the commission approves this report. And finally, as you can see on the map on your screen, the current sphere of influence of the district is coterminous, or in other words, exactly the same as the jurisdictional boundary. Again, this boundary was as part of the special legislation that formed it. It for the most part, follows the Pajaro Valley Unified School District boundary with some exceptions. But as you can see on the eastern portion of the district, there's this I call it an island, but it's just an area that's unrepresented by the district. So staff is recommending that the commission expand the sphere to include this unrepresented area. This does not mean automatic annexation. There still needs to be an analysis and initiation by the district if they're interested in adding more territory to their district. But as a discussion point, staff is recommending that we amend the sphere to include that area. And then we'll see in the future whether or not they exercise the idea of annexing this property in the future. With that, staff is recommending the following actions for the commission to consider this morning. One, that you find this report fulfills the requirements under state law, and it fulfills the requirements under Senate Bill 418. Also, that you determine that this report is exempt from CEQA. And finally, that this commission adopt the resolution with the following conditions. That the healthcare district provide annual reports to LAFCO by January 31st of 2026 and January 31st of 2027. That way we are up to speed on the progress that the district is making. Additionally, staff is recommending that we coordinate with the healthcare district to explore the identified options and provide a status update to this commission at a 6-month mark in April 1st of next year and a 12-month mark in November 4th of 2026. Again, we want to make sure that this commission is well aware of the status of the healthcare district and whether or not they've made improvements or if we need to look at some type of reorganization. And finally, the last condition is that you direct staff to distribute the adopted report to all subject and interested agencies, and that we request that the healthcare district include this report in their website. Chair, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Executive Director Serrano. Are there comments or questions from commissioners? Commissioner John Hunt, and then I'll go to Jim Anderson.
Thank you. I'm wondering about the reporting to LAFCO and whether that is specified in the legislation. Okay, so it's not, that came from the legislation. It's not part of.
So good question. So Senate Bill 418 required the healthcare district to provide LAFCO an annual report back in 2022 and 2023, which they did, and that information was used as part of our analysis. But that, I believe 2023 or 2024 was the deadline for annual reports. I think that's an important piece of information that we want to continue. So the special legislation does not specify the need for additional annual reports, but I just feel that it's something that we should continue with the healthcare district in receiving this type of information. So no, it's not specified in the legislation that created the healthcare district for 2025 and 2026, but I think it would be a useful information moving forward.
So I ask because creating progress reports or annual reports is an administrative burden. And I'm wondering if there's some way that LAFCO could make that work more simply for the district.
I believe, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the healthcare district, and I'll defer to staff if they want to chime in, but I believe that this type of reporting is something that they're already doing. So it's not additional work. We just want to receive a copy of it or have access to that information that they're already collecting and providing in some type of documentation.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Jim Anderson.
Yeah, my question is, would the enlargement of their sphere bring them any revenue, or what would that do for them?
So good question. So possibly. So for any annexations into a city or special district, there is a property tax exchange agreement, which looks at any property taxes collected within the subject area. But that's negotiations between the affected agency and the county. So to answer your question, perhaps, but that's something that needs to be analyzed on a case by case.
Go ahead. And the other question is, you are mentioning the decline of healthcare districts, but are regular hospitals facing the same thing, or is there something inherent in hospital, healthcare districts that are causing them?
My understanding, the reasons why healthcare districts, which are public entities, they're struggling because they're not for profit. So it's very difficult to run, based on staff's analysis, to run these hospitals with the increase in revenues and the limited revenue sources. Because again, a lot of these hospitals and healthcare districts rely on patient charges for services. They don't have benefit assessments, special taxes. Most of them don't have property taxes being collected. So they are very dependent on charges for services. And in some cases, these healthcare districts rely on subsequent funding from the federal government and type of reimbursement. So that's kind of the crux of the issue for healthcare districts is the limited revenue source that they need and receive to provide this essential type of services. So that's one of the core reasons why we're seeing a decline in healthcare districts and the transfer to private entities overseeing that type of service.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think I had Commissioner Cummings and then come to you.
I do just want to acknowledge, given the scenario though, as has been mentioned, under the financial distress, I mean, I think one thing that you have highlighted is that the healthcare district is improving in revenues. And I think everybody's going to be hurting, whether you're private or public, with the impacts from the federal government. But I do just want us to acknowledge that prior to that health district being established, this was a private hospital and it failed. And that's why this was taken over. And so I think that we should give some credit to the improvements in revenue that are being made, because had this healthcare district not been formed, we would have had significant distress on our healthcare system, with, the only hospital in Santa Cruz County being Dominican, and people possibly having to go to, as far as Salinas for healthcare. So I do just want us to acknowledge what the challenges are and then see how we can help the healthcare district improve over time. It may be that moving towards another private entity is a possible solution. It may be that through collaboration, we can figure out ways that we can help the healthcare district succeed. And I really think that one of the things that we should be really emphasizing is how can we help the healthcare district succeed, since we are moving forward with establishing these boundaries and the legislation that's been approved. So I just want to make sure that that's in the record, because they are doing better than they were as a private entity. And I think that as the challenges that all of our healthcare districts are going to face, we can't just put it on the fact that they're a healthcare district, which is why they may be in decline.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Commissioner Cummings. As a reminder, the hospital with the owner at that time were under bankruptcy. And prior to that, there was an influx of numerous ownership changes. So this was a way to have a public oversight to this hospital because of the importance of the services it provides to the community and with these two counties. So you're absolutely right. The healthcare district was able to step in, successfully acquire it, successfully pass a bond measure. So there have been a lots of improvements, and I'm hoping that they are able to get their footing back. But it is going to be a tough journey. But I think LAFCO can play a role in assisting them because we do want them to succeed. And I think having a public entity overseeing the hospital is an improvement of the historical past of the hospital. So yes, I agree with you that we LAFCO staff wants to be part of the solution for the healthcare district, and that's the reason why we identified possible options. And I think at this point, LAFCO can be used as a resource and a facilitator for further discussions, because I think it's a role that we should play. And we have a really good working relationship with the healthcare district staff and their board, so we want to continue that partnership.
Commissioner Lather?
I'm just curious, you were talking about healthcare districts in general just being dissolved. Are they typically in areas that have lower income, disadvantaged communities? Or they're, remote, like in Northern California, even Riverside, I think is remote, but is that part of the trend?
I don't have specifics on the locations or the demographics of those communities, but yes, they're scattered throughout California, and yes, there's one in Riverside, there's another one in Imperial County, which is another working class community, but I don't know the specifics of their composition and demographics, but that may be a factor that plays in, but I just don't have the specifics at this time.
Commissioner Roger Anderson?
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, I think the report is excellent. but I also believe that it misses one possible important way of dealing with it. And that is, I'd like to know what contact there's been with the University of California in terms of the partnership that might be possible for this hospital. The UCSC, as everyone knows, does not have a medical center and medical school. They have, however, started operating some local clinics, some doctors in town, and more importantly, they've started some educational aspects in terms of providing opportunities for healthcare education on the campus. And I'd like to know what contact there has been made with the University of California by the hospital, whether the university or whether the LAFCO has done anything as well. This might be a possible source of funding. It might be a possible source of community service, which is very important. And so I just wanted to find out what has been going on. I think that Chancellor LaVue might be very, very happy to talk to the hospital as well as LAFCO if she's not already been contacted. So I don't know the situation, but I do think it's an alternative which might actually be important in terms of financing this hospital. I've kind of special feeling for the hospital. My daughters were both born there and under a completely different management, of course, but it's in the old building. But still, it's important for the community, I think, to have that option and that we can actually deal with that.
Right, I echo those comments. I actually had a meeting with a representative from the California Special Districts Association, and they just recently had surgery at the hospital. So it is a pillar to the community and the county of the services that they provide. But that's a good suggestion about contacting the university. The options identified in the report are not restricted. We can go beyond that. Your staff has not directly reached out to the university. We have had contact with neighboring healthcare districts. They haven't expressed interest in partnership at this time, but we're still having those discussions with them. That may change in the future. That time will tell. But I'll defer to the hospital, to the healthcare district if they've reached out to the university. But as part of the recommendations in this report, when we coordinate with the healthcare district, that's something that we'll definitely bring up and see if it gets any traction. So I appreciate the suggestion, and we'll move forward as an additional option to consider.
Thank you. My granddaughter was recently born at Watsonville Hospital, and the service was excellent. I just wanted to ask, the area being considered for annexation, do you have any idea how many people live there? It seems fairly sparsely populated.
I don't have the population estimate for it, but we're talking about less than 100 parcels, and it's a very rural area of kind of close to Las Lomas and San Benito County. So I don't anticipate the population to be extensive, but I don't have the figures off the top of my head. Sorry.
Thank you.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Thank you. I really like Commissioner Anderson's idea of in this case, public-public partnership. I was thinking of public-private partnerships as a possibility and strategy and creative financing, but a public-public partnership, I think, is a great idea, and UCSC having this idea of having a medical school as well. Also, I think about not-for-profit. I mean, when you start a not-for-profit, that doesn't mean not making enough money to survive. And so there may be limitations. I haven't delved into the understanding of the federal aspects of that, but ensuring that costs are covered at a rate that is needed to remain solvent, and how can that be feasible, right? So you don't start a nonprofit with the intention of not making enough money so that you can remain solvent. Thank you so much.
If there are no other comments or questions from commissioners, I'll open it up to public comment. Do you have anyone here in chambers that wishes to address the commission?
Good morning, Commission. I am Allison Violante. I'm the Director of Government Relations on behalf of Watsonville Community Hospital. Thank you so much for putting together a report, especially Mr. Serrano and Mr. Estrada. We found them to be extremely collaborative and helpful throughout this entire process. We appreciate your work. It's heartening to hear the stories of your family receiving care in our hospital. We have found that throughout our time in ownership, that when you talk to people, if they didn't themselves receive care, their loved ones did, their neighbors did, and that's why we are Wattsville Community Hospital, because we find our roots here in our community. I just want to clarify that not only when we acquired the part of 418 said that we were to acquire it's a distinction. We acquired the hospital license was the purpose of 418, but we have actually also been able to acquire the land since that bill passed as part of Measure N. And I appreciate Commissioner Cummings's comments about the fact that the hospital, when you looked at the projection when the hospital was acquired, we actually were never projected to be profitable until 2026. And we were ahead of schedule last year by being just about breaking even. So it's not a surprise to see the report be what it is. So I know it might look disheartening, but it's actually, we're ahead of schedule. HR1 is definitely throwing a little bit of a wrench into the mix, and we're adjusting and moving ahead of plans in terms of looking for the external partnerships. And this is something that we've had significant conversations both with your staff, with the public at large, about the fact that we are looking at those external partnerships because through Measure N, we're expanding our services, including currently right now, if you go into our hospital, our radiology department is under construction. We're expanding our MRI, our CT services, and we will have the most advanced, quite frankly, radiology department in the Tri-County area by the time that's completed in early next year. We're also remodeling our emergency department as well to expand the number of beds because there's just not enough of them in our county. So we're excited about that. We're also, to Commissioner Roger Anderson's point, we've started conversations with the UC system. They're currently right now looking at creating their a school. They're admitting 6 students next year. And so we're having that conversations about having their students come and practice in our hospital. So that is something that we are doing. And we're delighted about the fact that we can bring expanded services to the community at large, not just to the footprint of our hospital, because we do provide services to patients well beyond the borders of the actual sphere. But I'm here and available if there are any other questions, and we appreciate your guys' partnership as we continue to look to expand services throughout the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Violante.
Thank you, Becky Steinbrunner. I live in rural Aptos. We have always taken our kids and gone to Watsonville Hospital at the recommendation of our doctor because over time he has noted that there is less incident of staph resistance, of a drug-resistant staph infection in MRSA at Watsonville. We have always received excellent care there. I don't like hospitals. That's why I had all 3 of our kids at home. But I have had to go to the hospital for the ER. And at night, have noted that it is full often. My daughter is a paramedic, and she notes that oftentimes when there are families in the middle of the night that something happens with their newborn or whatever, they get scared, they go to the ER. That is a very expensive route. I would like to suggest that one solution for cost savings could be to have a 24-hour non-emergency clinic open right there. There are those facilities in the other wings of the building, but they close up at night. So people go to the ER to get help. If this were provided 24 hours, non-emergency, doing triage initially in the ER with those very skilled nurses, they could direct maybe some of those patients that do not necessarily need to have ER level of care, but still need care. And that could be a cost-saving measure. I would also like to ask that the areas for expansion be included up in the mountains to include my area of Aptos and SoCal. I know other people that go to Watsonville because for different reasons. But my family has always gone there for the reasons I've explained to you. And we feel that we have received excellent care. So in terms of the other small rural hospitals, I think we need to look to Hazel Hawkins in Hollister. And then there's a hospital in King City, I can't remember the name, but they are going through the same thing. And maybe that was included in your report. I'm sorry I was late. We had livestock issues this morning. My final comment is I think bringing in UCSC is a good idea. I think you should also include local paramedic training schools. There are a couple here in Santa Cruz County. Those people going into paramedic are already well-trained, often well-practiced EMTs, and they could certainly be part of this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Steinbrenner. Seeing no one else in chambers, is there anyone online?
No, Chair, not at this time.
All right, then I'll return it to the commission for action.
I'll move the recommended actions.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Cummings, second by Commissioner Roger Anderson for the recommended actions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes unanimously. We'll now proceed with item 6, other business, and the LAFCO meeting schedule for 2026.
Thank you, Chair. This is just a standard action that the commission takes at the end of the calendar year. No real changes being proposed. We are suggesting that we have a recess in July as well as in December. That way we can enjoy our holiday breaks, but also that gives time for staff to work on bigger projects. The only exception to the calendar for 2026 is we're suggesting that we go dark in January. So we hold our meetings on the first Wednesday of each month. The first Wednesday in January is very close to the new year, so it may be difficult to get a quorum at that meeting, but also we would be sending the agenda packet during the Christmas break. And the last thing I want to do is give you documents to read. I'm sure you want to open presents on an agenda packet. So staff is recommending that we go dark in January and have our first meeting in February. An alternative action is to, if the commission does want to have a meeting in January, that we have it on the second Wednesday. And to my understanding, the county chambers, the Board of Supervisors chambers is still being constructed. We don't know, have a specific date on when that will occur, but I think in the beginning of the calendar year, we'll have a better understanding when that will be open for us to reconvene in those chambers. So we'll coordinate with the other city chambers to have our LAFCO meetings. But Chair, that concludes my presentation. Staff is recommending that you approve the proposed meeting dates for the 2026 calendar year, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments from commissioners? Any public comment?
Becky Steinbrenner. I support having a meeting in January, but putting it maybe into the second week, because there is so much going on with the fire agencies in our county. And I would like to make sure that the commission is being kept apprised, and it's a very fluid situation, and especially with Pajaro Fire District making the changes, and the very real possibility that they could be funded by a large battery energy storage project that is going in their district. They're looking at that. So I would like to have a meeting in January in the second week. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any hands raised online, so I'll return it to the commission for action.
I'll move staff recommendation. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Montesino, second by Commissioner Cummings to approve the meeting schedule for 2026. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes unanimously. We'll proceed with item 6B, fire-related projects. The commission will receive an update on the ongoing reorganization efforts involving CSA 48 and other fire agencies. Executive Director Serrano.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try to keep this brief. I'm going to start from South County and move our way up. So the first update is, and it was just mentioned earlier, the Pajaro Valley Fire Protection District. As you recall, they submitted an application to dissolve themselves and concurrently annex the dissolved area into CSA 48, which is operated by the county, and services are provided by CAL FIRE through a contract. Initially, PV Fire was planning on having a parallel approach. One was their main goal was to remain as a standalone fire protection district. They wanted to consider a tax measure to keep to receive adequate funding in order to have 3 people on duty. That tax measure failed earlier this year, but they wanted to try again. And so the plan was to propose a new tax measure to the public. During their last board meeting, they decided that they will not be moving forward with that tax measure. So the alternative option that they were running in parallel was this reorganization process. So now they are all in on this reorganization effort. So they're not going to move forward with the tax measure. They're just going to focus on the reorganization with CSA 48. So this is something that your staff is going to be working on these next few weeks and the next few months with the fire district and with the county on this possible transfer of service responsibilities to CSA 48. I'm hoping to present this to the commission for consideration in early 2026. One of the major components that we need to conduct is twofold. One is a property tax exchange agreement, but the other component is holding community workshops to inform the residents of why this is occurring, why the tax measure is not moving forward. That way the residents are well aware of this process. It's not going to happen overnight. This is going to be a year-long process, but I think it's imperative that we have these discussions with the public, answer their questions as the LAFCO process unfolds. So that's the first update with PV Fire. The second update, we're talking about CSA 48. We are still exploring the concept of converting CSA 48, which again is operated by the county, converting it into an independent standalone fire protection district. That process is still underway. It's kind of, it's slowed down a little bit because we have new players. As you know, Carlos Palacio, the county CAO, retired, and we have a new CAO with Ms. Nicole. Also, Michael Beaton, who was the overseeing county fire and that contract with CAL FIRE. He's no longer with the county, and we have Kimberly Finley taking over. So we have new players, and we just need to get them up to speed on what's going on. Staff is scheduling another meeting with that stakeholder group to have to continue those discussions about converting CSA 48 into an independent fire district. So those are still underway, and again, they're running concurrently with what's happening with PV Fire. So going up the county now, I wanted to give an update to the commission about Central Fire, Scotts Valley Fire, and the city of Santa Cruz. So earlier this year, there was discussion of perhaps having a joint RFP, hiring an outside consultant to look at the idea of shared services or consolidations between those 3 parties. We, at the staff level, we all agreed, let's adopt a similar MOU so that way we can partner in hiring an outside consultant. Your commission approved that MOU earlier this year. So did the city of Santa Cruz, but Central Fire decided not to move forward with that MOU, and the Scotts Valley Fire decided not to bring it to their board because of the lack of action by Central Fire. So while that MOU and that hiring of outside consultant did not move forward, at the staff level, we still see that there's an opportunity here to explore alternative options. So I think this is an opportunity for this commission and Santa Cruz LAFCO to kind of take the lead and provide that information. Again, we're not suggesting consolidation between those 3 parties or reorganization, but I think it's timely and beneficial to provide that information to those respective boards. So I think in 2026, your staff is going to be working on the countywide fire report. The last one we did was back in 2021. So we're due for a new cycle on that analysis. And I think this is an opportunity for your staff to conduct that analysis. How would it work if Central and Scotts Valley reorganize? Would it work if all 3 parties were to share services in some capacity? So I think your staff has this opportunity to evaluate those alternative options as part of this countywide fire report and then present our findings or recommendations to those respective boards. So that's something that your staff is starting to work on. That's going to be a report it's going to be extensive, but I think it's going to be timely. And then as we move up to the valley, we have Felton Fire. So Felton Fire, as you know, is in a transition. They currently have a part-time temporary fire chief. They recently hired administrative staff. They made some improvements, but they're one of the issues or one of the concerns about LAFCO staff is their sustainability with the volunteer model. But I want to just share with the commission that they've made a lot of improvements. They're working on their staffing issues with their financial issues. They're also running a parallel approach. The first option that the Felton board is considering is remaining as a standalone fire district with additional funding. So they're exploring the idea of having some type of tax measure. It's my understanding that they're going to consider a resolution to start that process. I believe the last figures, and Commissioner Jim Anderson can correct me, but the potential assessment would be around $862 per parcel. Which sounds a lot, but that may be something that the community supports. If that's successful, then they should have adequate funding to continue providing adequate level of services to the community. However, if it's not successful, they do have a plan B, a safety net. And that would be reorganizing with a neighboring fire district, whether it's CSA 48 or Zayante or Boulder Creek, for example. That's yet to be determined, but it's my understanding that they're also planning on considering another resolution of initiation to start the reorganization process. Your staff is scheduled to meet with the Valley Fire Chiefs later today to kind of discuss next steps. And we're hoping that at some point in the near future, we can identify a partner for Felton for that plan B, that reorganization effort. But again, I do want to extend my appreciation to Felton Fire Board and their staff of being proactive. They're having numerous meetings with the public and informing them of what's happening and what their next steps are. So they are making progress. And LAFCO staff is also trying to provide as much assistance as possible. So there's a lot going on, and your LAFCO staff is in the thick of it. But we are being welcome in those discussions. So the fact that we're being able to be at the table and providing our input and our assistance, I think that just shows the trust that these agencies have on this commission and your staff. So that is my update to the commission. One thing I did forget to mention about Felton Fire is the community has formed some type of advisory group. There's discussions of maybe having LAFCO take the lead and doing an RFP and hiring an outside consultant to do an analysis of governance options. What it would look like if we were to reorganize with Zayante or with Ben Lomond or with CSA 48. Because Felton Fire is limited with resources and staffing and time, this is something that your staff can maybe take the lead. I still need to do my due diligence and internally analyze if and when we should bring this to the commission to
Yeah, just to correct you, it's 682, not 882. It originally was 700, so I don't want to get anything crazy started out there. We're trying to work on it lower and not higher.
Thank you for the clarification. 682 per parcel. Thank you.
Commissioner Lonnie Faulkner.
Thank you. I have a couple questions. First of all, it sounds like there's going to be about a year process as we transition Pajaro to CSA 48. What is the plan in terms of coverage? Will it be CAL FIRE or will Pajaro continue to manage the coverage? That's my first question. And then my second question has to do with CSA 48 potentially establishing their own agency. And what have we looked at the fiscal impacts of that to the county, one versus the other? Thank you.
Great question. So first off with coverage. So under this proposed reorganization, what's interesting is PV Fire receives services from CAL and there's a check with. So is the transition would be a lot easier because we're talking about the same players. But one of the reasons why PB Fire is even considering this reorganization is because they determined that the community needs at least 3 people on duty. And because their initial tax measure failed earlier this year, they didn't have enough funding to continue that level of service. So they had to go down to 2 people on duty. So under this proposed reorganization, to my understanding, is that under CSA 48, they'll be able to go back to 3 people on duty for the Pajaro Valley community. And that's what's being proposed as part of the level of service under this reorganization. And that's what is included in the plan for service document that the PV Fire and CAL FIRE have provided to LAFCO, which will be presented to the commission once I deem the project complete. Your second question about CSA 48, yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Yes, I did understand that that is the eventual goal. I was just concerned about a transition period. So will that third person needed be provided within that transition period?
So again, good question. So the fact that CAL FIRE is already providing with PV Fire, I think that transition, that coverage will be seamless.
Thank you.
There won't be any learning curve or gray area. I think it'll be just able to transition seamlessly. For CSA 48, the financial component is one of the biggest factors that we need to analyze. And that's what your staff is working on with CAL FIRE and the county is the financial impact. How is it going to look? Is it going to be feasible, not only for the next few years, but the next 5-10 years? So we are currently working on a transition plan that shows the financial impact, which shows the proposed board composition, which shows the proposed staffing. So that's something that your staff is working on with the county to develop. It's still a work in progress, but that's something that we want. Ideally, we want to, or the plan is to present that transition report to this commission as well as the Board of Supervisor once it's finalized. And then based on those numbers and those findings, the plan is for the Board of Supervisors to consider and maybe initiate the reorganization of CSA 48 from a dependent special district to an independent special district. But that question of how is it going to be funded, is it going to be feasible, needs to be vetted. And that's what we're working on right now. And at some point, we'll have a document that we would present it to our respective boards and see what the next steps are.
Commissioner Montesino?
Yeah, like I said, it seems like there's issues in south, issues in the middle, and issues in the north. Has there been any thought, because a lot of it is funding or governance, and any thought to move either part of it or all of it to like sort of like a 911 center where everybody's is sort of together, instead of having all these soft shoot, because like I said, not to air my literary laundry from the city, we run our, our fire district where we have issues.
Sure.
We have issues from overtime, retention, not enough employees.
The city.
But like I said, how can we join our efforts? I know City of Santa Cruz, like you said, is talking to Scotts Valley and Central, but how can we partner up with the PV Fire or the other organization?
Right. So good questions. And my understanding when it comes to 911 communications, there's like a not a countywide contract, but there's a lot of fire agencies that use the same network. But there's other shared services opportunities, and I think that's what's being explored by a number of fire agencies in our county and frankly statewide. The idea of partnering and even the C word consolidation. You couldn't even say that 5 years ago, but now it's being considered. And so the idea of why not partner is being explored. Mergers or consolidations, that's something that it has to happen organically. It's for LAFCO staff and LAFCOs around the state, looking at the agencies, we can say there's economies of scale. We can have cost savings if we, instead of having 12 fire agencies, we have 8 or 4. But that top-down approach is not successful. It's when the agencies themselves determine, hey, maybe we should partner with our neighboring fire agency. Why don't we share staffing, or why don't we do a joint contract for certain services, or why don't we share a fire chief? It's those discussions that eventually lead to these changes of organization. And LAFCO's trying to navigate those discussions, but for us to say, we should have 3 fire agencies in this county. The valley should consolidate into one. That is just, we're setting up for failure, because it's human nature to be defensive. Like, who are you to tell us what to do? But if those agencies eventually determine that it would we may see the writings of the wall. It may make sense to have a reduction in fire agencies in the county. But unless the affected agencies support that idea, and unless the community support that idea, we just have to continue to help them do the best they can now. And once they feel that maybe let's look at alternatives, at least LAFCO's at the table, and we can help them get to those explore those other options. So really good points, really good points. There's a lot of similarities and common issues, but they're all talking to each other. And I think that's great. And we'll see efficiencies along the way.
Thank you. Commissioner Roger Anderson.
Yeah, a couple things. The first thing is, this is a very complicated issue, many ways that it might resolve. But what I'm curious about is, do you have a timeline about when some of these directions will actually be well established?
Good point. And I think at our next update, at our next meeting, I'm going to have proposed timelines for all these projects. That way we can kind of have some milestones, and again, they're not set in stone, but it gives the commission and the public and the affected agencies a better idea of the schedule. That way we can kind of see where we're at and where we may be in the next few months. So I think that's something that your staff will provide at our next commission meeting, our timelines for all these projects that your staff is currently working on.
All right, seeing no further questions or comments from commissioners, does anyone in the public wish to comment on this item?
Thank you for the update, Becky Steinbrunner. I live in rural Aptos in CSA 48, but I pay close attention to a lot of the fire districts because I'm interested and I care. First of all, Scotts Valley and Central are currently sharing their fire marshal services. Ms. Erin Collins, Chief Erin Collins, is doing that very well. So it is happening somewhat between those two agencies. Pajaro Valley Fire is poised to have a very large lithium battery storage project in their district on Minto Road. That developer must show community benefit. In last month's Pajaro Fire Board packet, there was a letter from the developer, New Leaf Energy, that said they were going to give $2 million to the county for a project and $100,000 to the fire district. That's an insult. I am working with people, and in other areas, these developers are required to provide millions of dollars to the fire agencies that will be required to respond. If it's lithium, it will catch on fire. It will, whether it's lithium iron phosphate, or they're not using the nickel manganese cobalt anymore, thankfully. That's all right, thank you. So Pajaro Valley Fire and Watsonville have had an MOU. The Pajaro Fire Board recently ended it. It was $70,000 for the city of Watsonville Fire to respond to incidents sort of on the borderline or in the event they couldn't be there if they were on another call. And they ended it because Watsonville was not responding. So we need to bring in the city of Watsonville too. I haven't heard them mentioned, but their fire agency would be called to respond to an incident, a battery fire, and should be funded and should be included in any possible annexation or reorganization with Pajaro Fire. May I have one more minute?
I'll defer to the chair.
We do have a number of folks online that we have to hear from as well, but thank you very much for
Okay,
your comments. Mr.
Thank you.
Steinberger.
I just want to say that CSA 48, the current contract, has 2 person. It's not 3, it's 2 under the current contract. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no one else here in chambers, we'll go to our online callers.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to ask Ms. Ilo to unmute herself.
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
As I mentioned, my name is Ilo Nilsson, and before I share with you my comments, I just want to appreciate Becky Steinbrunner's comments that all fire agencies should be funded because of the mutual aid effect that it will affect all of us. My name is Ilo Nilsson. I'm a Felton resident and a member of the Citizens Group independently formed to support rapid response times and best practices for fire and EMS service to the greater Felton area residents. You have a letter from our independent Citizens Group in your packet for today. I want to thank Mr. Serrano for mentioning us earlier today and also for meeting with members of our Citizens Group on October 20th. During the meeting, he brought up recommending an RFP for an expedited third-party evaluation of finances, service models, and governance, the level of community representation within a decision-making board, so that voters could have information that was vetted by unbiased experts. And I see that you're doing that for other organizations that you talked about today. My understanding had been that the RFP would be put before the LAFCO board today to vote to go forward, and I'm not sure that's what I actually heard in today's report. Nonetheless, this feasibility study is for the 3 options of a standalone Felton Fire and the top 2 recommendations in the LAFCO report, which were Zianti Fire and CSA 48, which are both contiguous to Felton Fire. I'm not sure now that I'm realizing that CSA 48 might be converting into an independent special district plays into that possibility. However, the response times and therefore the staffing and service models, as well as finances and community governance, are of top concern to the Felton citizenry. If Boulder Creek, which I just heard about today as well, or a restructured CSA 48 are eventually considered a vetted third-party analysis is equally important for these same metrics. As Mr. Serrano just mentioned, Felton Fire has made tremendous strides. We see substantial improvements in reliability,
1 minute left.
consistency of services, response rates, response times, and community access. It seems this makes the lower LAFCO ranking of an independent fire Felton protection district based upon old data likely no longer accurate and possibly obsolete. We look forward to a current third-party analysis of staffing service models, governance structures, and operational frameworks and financial capacity of both the Felton Fire and the top 2 options for a possible annexation or merger. And we ask the LAFCO directors to approve an expedited RFP for these purposes. It's essential not to put the cart before the horse of making decisions before this information is independently and verifiably vetted. I appreciate your commitment to the community and each of your own LAFCO community service. Thank you very much for your consideration. Sorry for my warbling voice as I'm trying to hurry. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Nielsen.
I'm going to go to Timothy and then to Chief Jason Nee. So Timothy, I'm going to ask yourself to unmute your microphone.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So my name is Timothy Lidgate. I'm also a Felton resident. And I would just like to ask LAFCO to, first of all, thank you, Ilo, for laying that situation out so clearly. But I agree that it would be very helpful if the LAFCO board would approve a feasibility study so that those of us who are community members can get clear third-party information, especially about what a property tax levy might be, what size it might be. There's been a lot of confusing information, and it would just be helpful for everybody if we had a clear understanding of what those three options were. So I just want to say I would greatly appreciate it if we would get that help from you guys. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Timothy.
Thank you. Chief Nee, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, good morning, commissioners. My name is Jason Nee. I'm the fire chief of Central Fire. Good morning, Executive Officer Serrano. I just wanted to provide a little bit of clarity, if I could, for one of the commissioners that had asked about dispatch, like joint dispatch within the county for the fire agencies, and then some of the efforts that have been ongoing, that perhaps are not as widely publicized as maybe we probably should do a better job of executing some of the joint efforts that are happening within the fire service world within Santa Cruz County. So Executive Officer Serrano was accurate. Vast majority of the local public agencies use Santa Cruz Regional 911, or NETCOM as it's commonly known, for their dispatch. That's the Public Safety Dispatch Center. They do essentially all of law enforcement and fire agencies within the county, with the exception of the folks that are covered by CSA 48 and or CAL FIRE for their services. So essentially City of Santa Cruz, City of Wattsville, Central Fire, San Lorenzo Valley agencies, Scotts Valley Fire. Generally all come from the Santa Cruz County Regional 911 system. So we are working together in that form already. Other pieces that are not as well known is Central Fire and Watsonville Fire are currently engaged with a Regional Fire Academy for full-time employees right now. And then today also City of Santa Cruz and Central Fire are cooperating to do a captain's examination, a promotional opportunity for folks within each respective agency. This is probably the third iteration that we've worked with City of Santa Cruz to do a promotional opportunity for different ranks. And recently, Central Fire, as Ms. Steinbrunner talked about earlier, Central Fire and Scotts Valley are in the process of sharing the fire marshal. We also did a joint paid call academy over the summer of 2025. And so there are a bunch of similar type exercises that happen throughout the county every single day since I've been a firefighter here since 2000. And I would say that there are more opportunities in the future, which was one of the reasons why staff brought to their respective boards the idea of looking at a review of services, as Mr. Serrano pointed out earlier. However, that decision is a political decision, not necessarily a staff level decision, and that takes a whole bunch of effort. End of my comments. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chief Nee.
Thank you, Chief. So, Chair, we have two more requests. So I'm going to go with Rich and then Liz. So, Rich, I'm asking you to unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Rich Alter. I am also in the Felton Community Citizens Group. And I want to just say I support everything that Ilo has stated. I also have a direct question. She mentioned it, but my understanding, and we made decisions based on the fact that Joe Serrano was planning on introducing asking for an RFP. And I guess I have a question, is that on the table? And if not, then when could that possibly happen? Because we're on a fast track to get things done in Felton. And so that's my question. Is it on the table to put out an RFP for everything Ilo has stated? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rich. And I can provide context on that after we conclude public comments. We got one more request. Liz, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. Liz?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. My name is Liz Taylor Selling. I am a resident of Felton for 40 years and work with the fire department as a part of their community emergency response team. I am also a part of the Citizens Committee, and like Rich, I would like to ditto the prior comments by Ilo and Tim. And so that enough said. I also want to point out that should anybody be concerned about the presence of fire chiefs or fire staff at this meeting, is that they have a conflicting meeting. They are doing a tabletop on tsunamis because that canceled a meeting that we were expecting to have this morning. So I want to let folks know that absence of staff is not indicative of anything necessarily other than a conflict of meetings. So that's it.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you. Chair, there are no other requests to address the commission at this time. I do want to provide more context on this RFP. So I did meet with the resident committee group about a month or so ago, and there was a discussion of providing more information to the residents and maybe having LAFCO initiate an RFP to hire an outside consultant to do a fire study, looking at the options that we identified in the Felton Fire Protection District Governance Options Report that we published back in July. However, as we mentioned earlier, Felton Fire has continued to be proactive. And since my meeting with that group, there was discussions with their chief on getting assistance from an outside consultant to do similar evaluations. And so LAFCO does not wants to complement the work that Felton Fire is doing and not having conflicting studies or analysis. So I will always defer to the affected agency on next steps and actions. And so that's the reason why your staff has not presented the idea of an RFP at this time. However, we're going to continue working with Felton Fire. If it's determined that LAFCO should take the lead on an RFP, I'll bring it to the commission for possible action. But that's the reason why it was discussed. But it seems like Felton Fire is doing a similar approach and perhaps maybe getting having an outside consultant to do an analysis on benefit assessments. I know there's been discussions with SEI Consulting, which has done work for the county for CSA 48. So again, that's the reason why staff is not presenting that option at this time, but it may be brought up in the near future. So that just additional context for the commission.
Thank you for the clarification. This is an information item only, so we will proceed with item.
I have a comment.
Oh, sure. Sorry.
I will just go on the record as saying that the chief and I have met with Pajaro Valley Fire some 3 weeks ago and discussed a lot of their options. And since that time, we have reached out to SCI and we're expecting a proposal from them by the end of the week.
Any other comments?
Yes, and this comment is to also directed to Commissioner Montesino about his earlier comment. I appreciate Chief Nee for stepping in and really discussing at length some of the partnerships that we've worked on together. We have a long history in the fire agencies. I'm on the central board of shared services and mutual aid, and our commitment of our firefighters to serving our entire community when as needed. But I think there are differences between agencies, as Chief Nee alluded to, with the politics that make these combinations a little more difficult in terms of actually creating a formal combination of these agencies. So thank you for that.
Thank you. All right, this is an information item only, so we'll proceed with item 6D, 6C, the comprehensive quarterly report first quarter.
And I'll defer to our analyst to give a brief presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Officer. Good morning, Commissioners, Chair. The comprehensive quarterly report is just a snapshot of everything that your staff has been working for during the first quarter of fiscal year 25-26. More information is available in your agenda packets, but I'm just here to provide the highlights. Number one, as of September 30th, 2025, Santa Cruz LAFCO has 5 active applications on file. Number two, in the report, the commission will find a list and summary of the 5 municipal service reviews that were considered in 2025. Today, you consider the PV Healthcare District. this year you approved 4 of the 5, and the 5th will be coming back to you in February, which is the 10 sanitation districts that you considered last month. Number 3, staff has been active with other projects as well, and this includes providing more administrative support to Monterey LAFCO and an interview with KTVU Bay Area with our executive officer. So that aired late last month. So that was another interesting project we were able to work on this quarter. And between the months of July and September 2025, staff attended and participated in over 30 meetings with partner agencies and members of the public. And finally, we just wanted to let the commission know that as of September 30th, 2025, Santa Cruz LAFCO has received all allocation funding while only incurring 21% of estimated cost. Chair, this concludes my report. This is an informational item only. It does not require any LAFCO action. We are here to answer any questions that you may have about the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Comments or questions from commissioners? Commissioner Cummings?
Yeah, just, well, thanks for all your work on this report and all the work that you all do. I'm just curious, how much longer do we anticipate our LAFCO staff are going to be supporting Monterey, and kind of what's the, because just out of curiosity, I mean, I think it was like within the year's budget, but I'm just wondering how that's progressing and what's the anticipated handoff so that Monterey can do its thing and we can.
Great question. So, and I'll defer to our analyst for additional context, but my understanding is it was temporary.
Right.
And as of last week, Monterey LAFCO has conducted interviews for finalists for a new clerk and or analyst. So my understanding is their need for us has dwindled these last months or so. So I anticipate Monterey LAFCO no longer needing our assistance within by the end of this calendar year. So I think the goal is for them to have a new staff member at the beginning of 2026. And then we'll be on standby if they need any assistance. But since the last few months, they've reduced the need for our assistance. So I anticipate we will not be providing direct assistance by the end of this calendar year.
Great, thank you.
Just to add a little more context, that is correct. We worked hard on recruiting the member that they were looking for. They got a large pool of applicants, and I am helping them out. One more meeting in December where they will introduce the newest member of Monterey LAFCO. So it's been a great experience, and just a big thank you to Kate and her staff at Monterey LAFCO.
Yeah, and I'll just add, it was a win-win. One, we provided assistance to Monterey LAFCO as they were in transition to get a new staff member, but also it was great training for your analysts to see how another LAFCO operates. Maybe he may appreciate how we do things here. That's yet to be determined, but it was just a great way for him to see how a LAFCO office operates beyond Santa Cruz LAFCO. So I really appreciate the opportunity for your analyst to just continue to expand his knowledge in the LAFCO world.
All right, other comments or questions on the quarterly report? Seeing none, we'll open it for public comment on the quarterly report.
There's no requests at this time.
Thank you, Becky Steinbrunner.
Beck.
You guys do an amazing amount of work, and thank you. Mr. Estrada, I hope that Monterey County is not going to steal you in the applicant.
I forbid
as
them
they
to do
stole
that.
Michael Beaton from our general services. So I continue to have a great concern about us not hearing about the fire issues until February. My question is on a different topic and I'm sorry, I was so troubled by what I heard about Felton that I didn't completely hear all of the applications that are in process, but is one of them the formation of a mosquito vector district? That was on yesterday's Board of Supervisor meeting. Shall the county form a mosquito vector district? And I was under the impression that there was already a CSA in place, but it seems different with the new ballot measure that is now in process of being counted and certified. Is one of those applications to form a new mosquito vector district countywide Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Becky. To answer your question, no, there is no application to form a mosquito and vector control district, but you're correct. There is an existing CSA that provides that level of service right now that's operated by the county.
All right, and you said there's no one online?
No, Chair.
No one wishing to comment. All right, thank you. We'll proceed with 6D, the legislative update.
Chair, I'll defer to our analyst and he'll give an even briefer presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Officer. Yes, since March, your staff has been keeping you appraised of the legislative session that concluded in October of this year. Of all the bills that were introduced, 9 were of LAFCO interest, and we kept a good eye on them. At the conclusion of the session, 6 of the bills were signed into law, 1 was vetoed, and 2 were placed on suspended file. And of note, we wanted to let the commission know that on December 10th, there will be a webinar on SB 707, which introduced updates to the Brown Act. As members of CSDA, this webinar is offered for free. If any of the commissioners are interested in attending to get more information, feel free to send us an email or talk to us after the meeting, and we will sign you up. And other than that, there's more information in your packet. If you have any questions, we're here to answer any questions you may have on any of these bills that were passed or not passed. Chair, that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Analyst Estrada. Comments or questions from commissioners? Seeing none, I'll open it for public comment on this item. Seeing no one in chambers, is there anyone online?
Not at this time, not online.
All right, I'll return it. I believe we have a question from Commissioner Lather.
I noticed that SB 697 is about determination of water rights. I'm wondering if that has anything to do with Davenport. You might want to check on that because it says during an investigation of water rights of a stream system, among other things, require representatives of the board to investigate in detail the use of water with the authority. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I saw John Laird's name on it. And I know in Santa Cruz County, there's definitely some water rights questions over the years.
It's my understanding that this bill does not refer to or identify Davenport Sanitation District, but we can do a little bit more research on that. But it's my understanding that it's not involving Davenport.
All right, if there's no other questions or comments, we'll proceed with item 7, written correspondence.
Chair, just briefly, we received 2 correspondence. One was the flyer indicating Carlos Blas's retirement party. So I just wanted to bring it to the commission's attention if you're interested in attending. I believe it's going to be on December 7th or so. So in a month. The other thing is I just provided the commission a copy of The Sphere, which is Cal LAFCO's magazine. They now have a new executive director, and she has really taken strides on improving communication with the membership. And one thing that she has improved is the Sphere magazine. In that document, you will see a story about or an article about Felton Fire and LAFCO's role and how other LAFCOs around the state can do similar proactive actions to help any agency that's struggling. So that report was the centerfold. So I'm proud of that article, but I just wanted to bring it to the commission's attention. Chair, that concludes staff's presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Comments or questions from commissioners? Commissioner Roger Anderson.
My question is that one of the phone calls referred to a letter which was supposed to be given to us, and I can't seem to find that copy. Can you send me one?
Which letter are you referring to? I'm sorry, it's escaping me.
I'm not entirely sure. There was a lot of information I assume that person conveyed.
I think it was from the Felton Community Group.
Yeah, I don't recall receiving a letter from them, but we'll look at our records, and if we do find one, we'll provide it to the commission.
Okay, thank you.
I don't recall a letter submitted.
Thank you. Any public comment on written correspondence? Seeing none in chambers, any online?
No, Chair.
All right, any additional items to mention on item 8, press articles?
Staff does not have any additional context or comments on this item. It's informational.
Okay, great. Commissioner's business, item 9. Commissioner Lather?
I just want to know what the process is going to be for us to have the sanitation district meeting. And are we going to be able to start in January? And who's going to take the lead to make sure it happens?
So great question. I am going to provide an email to the stakeholder group, including the 3 commissioners, Commissioner Cummins, Commissioner Koenig, and Commissioner Lather. I have proposed dates with the county on our first kickoff meeting. I'm hoping to get that sometime this month, either in person or virtually, depending on your availability. And I hope that we can get the ball rolling sooner rather than later. And then ideally, by January, we will have an updated report that we can then feel comfortable finalizing and then present it to the commission in February. So you're gonna get receive an email either today or later this week about our first kickoff meeting. So I'm gonna propose some dates to the stakeholder group, and then we'll go from there. So that's something that you'll be getting very shortly.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners have business they want to share? Yes, Commissioner Montesino.
Yeah, apologies for I was late. I was working, so I had to drive up here. But I really want to thank staff and Commissioner Roger, Commissioner Rochelle, because I went to the conference. I learned a lot. I was like a sponge there, learning from other LAFCOs and having conversations with other commissioners. So I really learned from both commissioners and and staff. And I just really want to thank both staff had presentations. They were very well received and very educational. So just thank them for it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other hands raised, that brings us to adjournment. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chair. So we'll see you in February of next year. So you don't have to worry about LAFCO for a couple months.
Yes, I am sad I'm not going to be getting a packet in my stocking.